It is a great time in country music, especially with the guy sitting right next to me. His name is William Beckman, if you're not already familiar with him, which I can't imagine you're not already because he is a great artist. He's got a brand new album out right now. It's called Whiskey, Lies, and Alibis. William, what's going on?
Tyler, what's going on, brother? Thank you for having me on. Of
Yes, sir, the pride of South Texas. Thanks for joining me.
course.
How does it feel having 12 songs out there in the world? And it's just a great album.
Oh, thanks, man. Yeah, it's definitely it's awesome to finally have it out there. It was a record that took about a year to make, and I'm incredibly proud of it, of this body of work, and yeah, it's nice knowing that people can finally listen to the whole thing in its entirety.
I love that. And, listening to it, I know we were talking about it's kind of a lost art when you're like listening to the albums in order because, you have all shuffle and stuff like that these days on
Mhm.
platforms. But if you start your album from the beginning, it draws you right in. Honky Tonk Blue. It's the opening line is like it pulls you in and makes you want to listen to it. Can you talk about that song and what it was like putting it out there in the process of everything?
Thanks. Yeah, Honky Tonk Blues, like you mentioned, the opening track, and it's a song that Bryce Long and Chris Stapleton wrote. And can't remember somebody at the label. I think it was the head of A&R. She had sent me this demo of Chris Stapleton singing this song, and it was Honky Tonk Blue. And the first time I heard it, I fell in love with the song. So after a couple months of going back and forth, trying to get permission to record the song, we finally got the green light, and then I took it to the studio and recorded it. And we kind of did it way different than the original demo was, because the demo was very slow and had like a lot of fiddle. And I kind of sped it. My version, I sped it up and kind of made it sound like a Texas bar band. Um, but yeah, like to me, that's definitely the most country song on this record, and I thought it was like a good opening statement, to kind of set the tone for the album. So that's why I decided to put that as the first opening track.
For sure, and there's a lot of different blends of sounds. Like the closing song on it is a cover song of a
Yeah, it's
completely.
a cover of a mariachi song. Yeah,
What was that like?
man, it was kind of funny because I don't think we actually like went in there thinking we were gonna do it or record it, but it was after one of the sessions, and the whole band, all the studio musicians were still there, and they were kind of like, I don't think they were packing up their stuff because we were going to be there the next day. So everybody was just kind of winding down, and we were going to start the next day of recording the day after. Um, but yeah, John Randall, my producer, was kind of like, we were all sitting around, and he's like telling the band, he was kind of bragging on me. He's like, dude, he sings in Spanish. And the band's like, what? He's like, yeah, like he can sing. He's like, dude, like go get a guitar and play him something. And so I went and picked up a guitar, and I started playing that song, and the whole band kind of looked around, and they all looked at the times like, should we just go cut that right now? And I was like, if you guys want. And we went in the studio, and yeah, man, it just kind of happened. And so it was kind of an accident that we recorded that song at all. But the way they tracked it was insane, because I always think of, you listen to mariachi music, or you listen to like those kinds of musicians that grew up playing that style of music, it makes sense that it sounds the way it sounds. I was like, man, these guys are like country studio musicians. Like, I don't know if they'll be able to pull off that sound. And to me, they nailed it. And I was like, wow. I mean, I would have thought that you had like like a true mariachi Mexican band from like Mexico City that was, on that track. And it wasn't, man. It was a bunch of Nashville guys, which is kind of the funniest part about the whole thing.
Well, it's a great closing to the album, and it really shows your roots. Being from South Texas, you're from Del Rio. What was the intertwining of culture like down in South Texas between like the whole Tex-Mex culture?
Oh yeah, man. Well, where I'm from, there's just a blend of all kinds of different genres. There's country music, there's mariachi music, what you call music, which is like norteño style, different genre of Mexican music. But it's just all over the place. You go to different parties, and somebody's got the aux cord, and you're listening to songs in Spanish. And I'm like a very big traditional country guy, so I was always playing like Merle Haggard and Johnny Cash and Waylon Jennings. My brother was the one that kind of got me into Texas country whenever we were in high school. So like the Randy Rogers band and Josh Abbott. Wade Bowen, a lot of the guys that I tour with now and are buddies with. So it was just always I was looking back, I was exposed to a bunch of different kinds of music, and I think that was really good. It kind of helped me, um, kind of just like, I guess it educated me and kind of made me more well-rounded as a not only as a musician myself and as a songwriter, but as a listener.
A key word you mentioned too was you love traditional country.
Hmm.
You really are old school, from the outfits to the sound, everything about it. Now, growing up listening to it, you kind of put this old vintage feel not only in your music, but the music video that you just put out called Lonely Over You. That's a
Right.
fun one to watch. How fun was it for you to film it?
Dude, it was incredibly it was so much fun. It was an incredible experience. Um, Jordan Thiem, who directed that, is a friend of mine, and he was the one that called me up and he said we had the whole concept for it and we wanted it to be kind of like a timepiece, like it looked like it was from the early 70s, like late 60s, early 70s. And he told me, he's like, man, if we really want to kind of catch that vibe, I think it'd be really cool if we did this on film. And I said, okay. He's like, the problem with doing it on film is it's a little bit harder to shoot, you know, because we're limited on how much film we have, and it's also going to be more expensive. I was like, man, if you feel really good about this and this is how you want to go about it, then I'll support it. I'll get behind it. And so we did. He got the film, and we had some extras come in. My little sister and her friends came in. You mentioned Maddie, like, yeah, they came in, and we had a stylist and a whole big wardrobe from back then, and we all got dressed up and made it look like it was like 1971.
It was cool to watch. I'm sure it was even more fun to be there.
Oh yeah, it was awesome.
Now, going forward, if you had to pitch Whiskey Lies and Alibis in, maybe one short sentence or a run-on sentence just to get, fans that maybe haven't heard it yet excited to listen, how would you do that?
Oh, that's a good question. I would say Whiskey Lies and Alibis is a heartbreak album that is intended to take you on a journey from the opening track to the closing track.
I think that's a
And
pretty,
I tried to do that. I tried to, when I was making this record, I'm like a very big fan of albums that are conceptual, not necessarily like a concept album, but an album that thematically has like is got like a central um idea or like message,
Mhm.
but that doesn't all sound the same. Like I don't necessarily like it when like a whole record kind of like has one sound, and there's a lot of albums that are really cool like that, but I've just been kind of like what I mentioned earlier, like I'm just such a big music nerd and I've been influenced by so many different things that inevitably like I can do more than one thing. Like I can do a traditional country song, and then I can do something that's a little bit more contemporary, and then I can sing a song in Spanish, and then I can do something that's even kind of like more in like Lonely Over You to me is more in like a Roy Orbison, Sinatra kind of like early rock and roll kind of thing, like rock and roll pop. And so I like bending genres a little bit and sprinkling all kinds of different flavors into an album so that it doesn't just be sound redundant. Like I don't want 12 songs that all sound the same. Um, so that's what I mean by like I wanted the record to have like a theme, but for each song to kind of vary stylistically and even like from a production standpoint. So it's intended to kind of take you on like a ride, and it's supposed to kind of feel like each song is evolving into something else.
Well, if I can just say to everybody out there watching this, if that doesn't pitch you to listen to the album, I don't know what will, because I think that's a great
That's
encapsulation of everything because
uh,
there are a bunch of different sounds, and that's what makes it great.
Thanks, man.
Well, folks, if you don't follow William on Instagram and TikTok and wherever else you could find him, go do it right now. Whiskey Lies and Alibis, all 12 songs are out right now. Go listen to it and go watch the Lonely Over You music video because it's pretty.
Yes.
William, thanks so much for joining me.